Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back to my craft room. So when I did my face-to-face video, I had a number of folks mention to me that they thought that YouTubers should be on camera more, not just their hands, but their faces too. So here I am. I'll do these intros once in a while. It won't be all the time, but this is the start of them. So for today's video, we are going to be making a scrapbook page. Now, I haven't done a scrapbook page at all on my channel, but I used to own a scrapbooking store. And here's a big secret. I actually like scrapbooking more than card making, but I don't do it very often because it takes me so long to scrapbook, like hours. So cards are nice and small. You have a set size, they're tiny, and that's it. I mean, granted, you have a set size with a scrapbook page too, but you know, if you're doing a double page layout, then it gets even bigger. And guys, it takes me a long time. So because I like to put so much stuff on it. But you recently probably saw the box that I had gotten from Uniquely Creative, and I couldn't wait to dive in and start playing. And of course, I had to use it for scrapbooking. I will be using it for card making. I actually have a few things that I already made that have some elements incorporated into it from Uniquely Creative, but I wanted to at least get a full scrapbook page done and made with their awesome products. So you will be seeing that today. And if you like scrapbooking, let me know in the comments. Tell me if you want to see more of that. And if you're not a scrapbooker, I hope that you'll stick around and watch the video anyway, because many of the techniques that I'm doing can totally be applied to card making, ATCs, art journals, all of that stuff. So I hope that you'll hang out with me and enjoy the video. We are using a photo I took of my kids while we were on summer vacation this past year. And I decided to work with the Rustic 9 Nights cardstock from Uniquely Creative. We're actually going to work with the back of the paper. And I left the strip there at the bottom. I kind of like to leave that so that I can scratch on it, scribble, whatever, and we'll cut that off later. The first stencil that I'm using is called the Alluring stencil. I really like this one, you guys. It's really cool. So we're going to open that up, and that's going to be the first thing that we play with. So that is essentially where I'm going to keep my photo, approximately in that spot. And I'm going to work around this stencil that we're going to be using. So I'm just kind of figuring out where it's going to go exactly, placing it, and then we're going to use some washi tape to get it attached completely. We're going to be using that photo as a reference throughout the entire process, just so that we can kind of work around it and see where we want all of our elements to go. I'm using ground espresso, distress oxide with a sponge dauber, the mini ink blending tools, excuse me, not a sponge dauber, mini ink blending tool. And you want to be careful when you're doing this because there are some really tiny bits to the stencil, not a ton, but you just want to make sure that you don't accidentally bend them or warp them or anything like that. So I'm working from the top, obviously, and I'm going to just drag it down a little bit. You can kind of see that I'm wiggling it and dragging it. I'm not really going into large circular motions like you would if you were doing ink blending on a full panel or something like that, because I want to be careful of the stencil, and also I want it to kind of fade away. I don't want those harsh lines at the edge of the stencil because I don't want it to look like it had lines. I mean, you can kind of see at the very top where it ends, but otherwise it just kind of fades away, and that's exactly what I wanted. So now I grabbed my microfiber cloth. This is what I used to wipe everything up, and I sprayed that stencil with water. I didn't want to waste all of that wonderful ink. So I sprayed it with some water, and now I just slapped it up in that top right corner just so that we had kind of a repeat of that pattern. And I didn't need it to be perfect. I just didn't want to waste the ink. And it just adds a little something extra to the scrapbook page. So I want to focus on that green shrub or whatever that is. I'm not even sure what plant that is. Actually, it's a couple of plants. I'm looking at the photo closer. But I went through my swatches just now and I grabbed Mowed Lawn Distress ink so that we can pull out a color. Now, if you watched my video on the unboxing of all of these Uniquely Creative products, you'll see that they have pops of like a brick red in there, but I'm not using any of that in today's page. So we were free to work with anything because it is overall a neutral collection. So that's why I figured I'd use the Mowed Lawn, because it worked really well with the green of those those plants that are in the photo. Just a little bit of something, nothing crazy. And for this, I'm using the Jazzy stencil, which I think is really cool. It has kind of a tribal feel. It's kind of organic. It's just neat. So I'm just popping it in a few different areas, not going crazy with stenciling perfectly. I don't want a complete image. I don't want to do the whole thing everywhere, just here and there. So I sprayed it with water, just like I did the last stencil. And I'm just kind of getting some excess ink onto my page. You're not going to see any triangles, in reverse on this. It's just a little bit more like extra ink, really. I wasn't looking to get it perfect. This whole thing is super grungy and crazy. I guess it's not super crazy, but it's grungy, right? So some of my other pages can be kind of crazy. But that's for another time. I just wanted to not waste any of the stuff. So now I have the Twinkly Stars stencil and a very, very, very old Dreamweaver Stencils matte black embossing paste. I am struggling here with this, you guys. It is old. It is almost empty. I used the heck out of this stuff and I love it, but it is time to kiss this jar goodbye. This stuff is no longer on the market. You can definitely try using Tim Holtz's black opaque texture paste. It's probably very similar to this. I have not used it myself, so I can't say for sure, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good because it's Tim Holtz. So I would definitely recommend, if you want to go for this type of look, try his out, because this particular paste is no longer. Do you see how much I'm struggling here, you guys? I have never in my life applied paste like that. But then I remembered, I have a brand new jar that's still really old, but it was never used before. And look at how nicely it's going on now. What a big difference. So that other jar is going in the trash, and I'm going to just keep using this new yet old jar. I love these twinkly stars. Look at how pretty they are. Can you imagine using them with like thermoweb deco foil? Oh, they would be so stunning, especially with like the iridescent deco foil. Oh my gosh, on black cardstock or purple cardstock or even like navy blue. I'm crazy about this stencil. I think that this might be my favorite one that I got from Uniquely Creative. It's a tough call, but stars are always special to me. That last one, I kind of made a mess. I had shifted the stencil accidentally. So those stars are not perfect, but it's okay because, again, we're going for a grungy look. And you can see that I'm just kind of placing things here and there. And now we had to let that dry. So I grabbed an old discontinued die set from Simon Says Stamp and CZ Designs, and I laid out my title across the top. I grabbed the second piece of the Rustic 9 Nights cardstock. It's actually the same that we're using. That was the ASL sign for same, in case you're wondering what I did just there. We're using the same piece, just the front side of it now, which is unusual for me. That doesn't ever happen. Crazy. So I'm bringing out my really, really, really old Fiskars paper trimmer because it's the only thing that'll hold my 12 by 12 cardstock. And I cut a piece that is slightly wider than all of my letters. That's why I had the ruler out. I was measuring the letters just to make sure that I had it big enough. I chose this portion of the cardstock because there's not a whole lot of print there. It's pretty dark, and you'll see once the letters are all die cut that you're not going to see a lot of the numbers or anything. It's just going to be a nice dark, look at that, so cool. And yes, I had my letters wrong. I fixed it. You're not going to see a whole lot of that pattern in there, which is why I picked that area. So now we have the ephemera. Look at these. Look at this set of goodies that's in this packet. There are so many things. In fact, after I was done filming this video, I found pieces that I hadn't even realized that I had. It's so cool. It's called the Industrial Edge Creative Cuts. I highly recommend this pack. There are so many fun things in here, especially if you like numbers and stuff. They're really cool. This whole collection, Industrial Edge, has a lot of numerical things, which I think is kind of fun. Lots of like signs and stuff like that. So now I'm just kind of playing around. I had pre-chosen these items because like I said at the very beginning of this video, it takes me a while to pick stuff out for a scrapbook page, just because I want so many details. And I actually went kind of light on the details in this, surprisingly enough. But I had chosen these things because I thought that they really worked well with what I had going on. So the twos obviously represent my two kids. The star because I thought it went well with the Twinkly Star stencil, and the love this for, obvious reasons. So here I am just grabbing my pencil and I'm just going to mark off two corners where I want that photo to wind up in the end. And then I'm going to grab some press and seal. I'll have all of my supplies linked in the description box below. If you're not in the States, I know that you can get press and seal in the UK, but I'm not sure about anywhere else. So I will link it to a shop that I know carries it. And it's just used to pick, it's used for food stuff. But in my scenario, I used it to pick all of my elements up at once so that they stay in the same place so that I can glue them back down all together and stick them back in the right spot and I don't have to refinagle anything. So what I'm doing here is I grabbed Tuxedo Black Fireworks Spray from Imagine, and I'm just splattering it all over the place. It's not super obvious, but I didn't really want it to be super obvious. But there is a bit of shimmer, which I love. So now I grabbed a Posca pen and I'm doodling. And I gotta be honest, I suck at doodling, you guys. I'm just not, I have always struggled. My mom can doodle for days. And she comes out with such cool stuff. And I guess I just get in my head too much. And you'll see I am struggling with this area here. I don't know what I'm doing. I should have just not bothered to start doodling because I make a total mess. But it's okay. We're going for grunge, right? We're going for grunge. The lines are fine. The little heart is not really me, but it's my kids, so I tend to put hearts with them. I don't know why. I guess it's a mom thing. But that one area on the left side is making me bananas, and I hate it. You'll see how I remedy that soon. I keep going back to it and trying to fix it. I close the marker, and then I open it again, and it's just not good. Can you doodle? I don't know what my problem is. I just struggle. It's not okay. I wish I could just doodle. I get in my head, and I start thinking too much, and I should just pick a subject and just doodle the thing, like leaves or stars or something, and then just go from there. Anyway, so now you can see all of my elements are all stuck down to that press and seal. And now I'm going to apply it back to the page because I wanted to doodle around the things a little bit, and I'm going to start gluing. And there are better ways to do this, you guys. I should have just glued all of the little elements from Uniquely Creative while they were upside down, but I didn't. I don't really know why. I guess I was just annoyed about the doodle. So here I'm lifting up small sections and I'm gluing things down with my Barely Arts glue and I'm putting it back, and you'll see when I do the letters that I have a better way to do things. Play with it if you want to. It's definitely a great way to glue things down easily all at once without worrying about moving stuff. But if you don't have it, it's obviously not the end of the world. You can use a pencil to kind of mark off where you want things like I did before, or you can just eyeball it. I mean, this is all semi-random where things are going, and nothing has to be lined up perfectly straight. So you can just kind of play around with things how you like. So I'm adding the star, and you can see that I have the photo lined up with those two corners that I had drawn out before with my pencil. And now I'm going to add the Love This arrow. Oh, no, I'm not. I lied. I grabbed my ATG gun first. I haven't used this guy in a while, but I haven't used Barely Arts glue for scrapbooking, so I didn't know if I wanted to use it on my photo because it's my photo, and I know that the ATG gun is fine. So now I'm doing the arrow, and I'm regretting having it straight like that. I really wanted it at an angle like I had it at the beginning when I first started laying these things out, but I didn't do that, and it's okay. So now I'm covering up that horrendous doodle with one of the little pieces from the ephemera pack because I really hate how that looked. And now I'm just re-gluing the arrow because I lifted it up a little bit to get that to get that piece underneath so that it was grounded and connected to something. I didn't want it to just be floating because then it would have looked weird. So now it's grounded because the arrow is holding it down. So now I'm trying to figure out, where do I want my sentiment? If you noticed earlier, I had it spanning across the whole top, but now that I see the letters cut out, they were a little too light for some of the spots because of the way we added zhuzhing to the background, right? So I decided to move it over to the right, and I'm very happy with it here. I think it looks good. So now I'm kind of just trying to line things up, struggling a little bit. I could get out a T-square, but why make my life easier? And now I grabbed the press and seal again, and I moved half the letters, which is frustrating. So I redid it, grabbed the press and seal again, and very, very carefully laid it down and pressed it onto all of the letters. And now I can peel it back, but I'm not going to peel away the whole thing. I'm going to leave it attached to my glass mat. And then I'm going to use my glue and start adhering each of the letters down. I'm going to do a big chunk of them, and then you'll see, of course, I move one of the letters, and then we have to just go from there. You'll see. It's going to happen in just a moment. And there it is. I didn't have that letter I pushed down well enough, so I just pull it out. The dot of the I is still there, so that's fine, but I'm removing the I itself, and I'm going to just lay down all of the things that I've already got glue on, because why take a chance? Let's just get them laid down. So then I'm pulling up the other side, and I'm going to finish the last 3 letters while the other things are starting to adhere to the cardstock. Take a deep breath, you guys. We can get through this. We can. I have such a hard time with letters. Like, sometimes I just purposely make them wonky because, why not? Then it doesn't have to be straight and perfect. But for some reason, I just wanted it straight here. I guess because everything else is so random and kind of all over the place, I thought that it was important to have the words at least marginally straight, if that makes sense, Because the photo itself is also straight. Everything else is just kind of wonky and on edge. So I thought that the words should be straight. So now I'm going to grab my big honkin' Fiskars trimmer again and trim off that edge. Now, you'll see that I do it twice because there's something off about my blade or something with the mechanism where it's not cutting perfectly straight. That's one of the reasons why you really never see me use it in videos, besides the fact that it's just huge. But anyway, I got it all squared away, and we're good to go. Again with the Posca pen, but this time I'm doing something that I'm comfortable with. I'm just kind of highlighting those corners. I probably should have put a black or a dark gray kind of piece of cardstock behind my photo to mat it, just so that it pops a little bit more. But by doodling in the corners like that, I think that it does enough. So here is a final look at the scrapbook page. If I tell you how much time had actually gone into this that you didn't see, just with letting things dry and lining things up and all of that, it's a wonder that this is not an hour-long video. But I hope you learned a few things. I hope that you can apply this to whatever project that you're working on, even if it's not scrapbooking. I had a blast. I'm loving these products from Uniquely Creative. I think that they are awesome, and I can't wait to show you more things. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more scrapbooking, or if you just want to see, back to card making, or maybe tags or something like that. I don't know. I'm open to some suggestions. Let me know in the comments what you think. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. I will be back with another video very soon. Be well, stay safe, peace out.